Hello, Walt.
Say it's not true.
So for those of you who don't know Walt, oh my gosh, you are in for such a treat right now. Walt Hampton reminds me every day that life is just way too short to just muddle through. We have an opportunity, dare I say our responsibility, to share our gifts with the world in a way that brings joy. And Walt Hampton brings so much joy to us. Walt, he helps executives and lawyers use their talents, skills, and experience in an even more meaningful way each day. So here's what I love about Walt. He has this way of pinpointing the heart of any issue in my business and helping me resolve it. And he's just an exceptional coach. And so we're excited to have you here with us, Walt. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to be with you. Thank you for inviting me. And Sherry's a tough act to follow, so we'll try to keep the energy going. But you know, it's hard to have positivity when you're talking to a lawyer. Jeez, why would you put a lawyer after that?
Well, here's the deal for everybody listening. What you don't know about Walt is he has a second job jumping on chairs, which is what we were talking about. Whenever we go to live events, Walt is the first person on top of this chair to jump up and down and raise the energy in the room. So he's no average lawyer.
And lawyers are people too.
Yes, exactly.
We love you, Walt. We love you, Walt.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
I mean, you are a lawyer. I'm sure you've been very busy in the last few days, from people asking questions and consulting and everything. And as Stacey mentioned, you have a way of pinpointing the heart of any issue in the business because you're such an exceptional coach as well. So as a business coach, what are you noticing that your clients need more of today?
I think what all of our clients need, you know, I have business coaches from around, business clients from around the world in all walks of life. And I think what all of us need to know right now is that we're not alone. That we're not alone. You know, you need to have somebody look you in the eye, look into the camera and say, we're going to get through this together. I don't know how we're going to get through it together, but we're going to get through it together. And that's, you know, one of the things I had one of my executive coaching clients do recently, because he was very fearful about his high-end clients abandoning ship. I said, you're gonna get with each and every one of those clients and connect with them. And he said, I'll have my people set that up. I said, no, you're gonna pick up the phone and you're gonna call each and every one of those people. Mm-hmm. And to a one, I think there were over 40, to a one, they said, oh my God, thank you for that. It meant so much to me. And he came away from that call saying, I know I'm going to be okay. And it was because he leaned into the discomfort. He leaned into his own fear, his own scarcity, and he connected. And that's what we need to do in this moment. We need to connect.
That's amazing. So you've had experience as a coach, and I know there's people who are here and they may not be a coach yet, but they're thinking, maybe I want to be a coach. Why is it a good time now to be a coach?
Well, I think any time is a good time to be a coach. I built this business, my business, Summit Success, into the dark storms of the Great Recession of 2007. Didn't know it at the time. Seemed like a good idea at the time. And it ended up being a good idea at the time. First of all, coaching is a multi-billion-dollar industry and growing. And it's going to continue to grow. And now more than ever, we need good guides. You know, as you know, you guys know, I'm a high altitude mountaineer and ultra distance runner. I guide people up high in very, very dangerous situations. You don't want to be 22 days into an Arctic expedition high up in the mountains of Alaska without a good guide. Or to have a guide and say, yeah, I don't need you anymore. It's you know, I've run out of money. I'm not going to pay anymore. Now is the time to have a guide. Now is the time to get good guides. And so the world needs good coaches and good guides. And there are people out there, you know, we teach that there are people that we are meant to serve and others not so much. There are people that each one of you who are thinking about coaching right now, they're waiting for you, not for when you're ready, not for when the economy is right, not for when you got the right certifications. Right now, they're waiting for you now, and they need you now. And so, you know, as Dr. Sherry suggested, you know, now's the time to step out and step up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. That's so powerful. And so I know you can't officially give us legal advice right now, but I'm just going to ask anyway. What are my legal obligations if my clients break a contract due to financial challenges?
All right. First of all, I think lawyers are incredibly important to the world and do important work in the world. And lawyers can muck things up to a fairly well. We can often over-lawyer situations. So first of all, 𝗵𝗃, a great question, but it presumes, we would say as an objection in court, that presumes facts not evidence, Your Honor. So you presume that there is a contract. Okay, one of the things we're talking about today is future-proofing our businesses. Mm-hmm. And a crisis like this casts a very stark light on our businesses. And it actually is a wonderful opportunity to study the weaknesses in our business, where we have not done things well, where the holes are, where the cracks in our business foundation are. And one of the cracks in a foundation is that people go into lots of stuff without agreements. They go into partnerships, they go into joint venture relationships, they go into affiliate relationships, they go into contract client relationships, they don't have agreements.
I mean, what could go wrong?
Yeah, but I'll tell you, one of the most important, I'm going to answer your question, I promise. One of the most important things that we can do when we create relationships with other people in a business arena is to envision the end. Because there's always an end, but the more time we can spend at the beginning talking about, well, you know, when we end this relationship, what's it going to be? How are we going to work out our differences? What are the terms and conditions? The more we can do that, the better the future will be for us. Mm-hmm. Now, if we have a client with a contract as a coach, as a mentor, as a consultant, there are undoubtedly enforcement provisions. There are undoubtedly dispute resolution provisions. And the question should be, I just had this question on the event I was at just a few minutes ago. Should I sue my client right now? No, it's not, sure you can, but we're all hurting in this moment. And if we immediately go to lawyers and to law and to that stuff, it's absolutely the wrong knee-jerk reaction. Sometimes people just need that phone call. Hey, you know, I see that your account has fallen behind, and I'm just wondering how we might work together to bring that up to date. We did that recently with a client, and she was so grateful for, you know, just calling it into the light of day, and we figured something out. And I don't know whether it will continue through or not, but I don't think that we need to go to lawyers in the first instance, however good lawyering can be.
Yeah, I love it. And there's, like you said earlier, there are amazing lawyers in the world who are doing great things. And this is an opportunity to see what it really means to come to agreements and to find agreement and to hold those agreements. So people are loving you in the chat box. They're saying, thank you, Walt. Excellent advice. If only lawyers were all like you, Walt. Thank you.
Let's have some music and stand on chairs.
I got, oh my God.
So, yes. So I made a note. I do want just to hit on this point. I know you have an agenda, but it's about me. So, in this time, I said we have the opportunity to future-proof our business, things that aren't working well or holes in our foundation. If you don't have a lawyer in at your beck and call, if you don't have a lawyer who is part of your team, now is probably going to be a hard time to make that happen, although you can make that happen. But you want to have a relationship with a lawyer. You want to have a relationship with an accountant. You want to be able to seek advice like you would from a coach or from another business professional, like your physician in a time of need. So as we come out of this, as we look toward the future, one of the most important things you can do to future-proof your business is create that trusted advisor relationship with a lawyer that you like and that you can call in times of need and get that input and advice, because it's going to be really hard in this moment if you don't have that, because lawyers are working so hard to serve their clients to say, hey, can you help me right now? I want to sue somebody. So I want to encourage your viewers to think about, as they think about coming out of over the edge of this into the future, and we're going to get through this. If we can think about who we want to add to our team, and that may mean lawyers and accountants.
And following up on that, because I think that that's something that people, when they're thinking about hiring, in general, in hiring, we are always looking for the right person, and we're always wondering if we're making the right decisions. But especially with a lawyer who is our trusted advisor in these very important issues, how do we go about finding a lawyer that suits our needs and that we feel comfortable with?
So interview a bunch of them, talk to them. Most lawyers, it's not a terribly good business model, but that's, my coaching of lawyers. Most lawyers will offer you a free consultation, but it's worth interviewing 3 or 4. And most of all, you want somebody who gets your business. If you're in the digital marketing space, you want somebody who gets that. If you're a coach consultant, you want somebody who gets that. If you're a counselor, you want somebody who gets that. Most of all, a lot of lawyers, most lawyers who have passed the bar have a minimum level of competence. You want somebody that you like, who shares your values. You want somebody who's got time for you. One of my past favorite physicians was an orthopedic surgeon. He'd come in, he'd hang his coat on the back of the door, he'd sit down on the stool below the examining table, and he'd have a conversation with me like I knew he had like 40 examining rooms and a ton of patients, but he came in and he felt like he was connecting with me. And again, that comes back to human connection. So you want to feel like you have somebody that you like hanging with, and as a lawyer, a lot of my clients were people that I genuinely enjoyed hanging out with. So I think that's what you want.
Yeah. I love that. And I'm just curious, Walt, I'm going to ask you a similar question to what I asked Dr. Sherry before, and it's regarding to contracts. But this time, we're looking at, as a coach, like I'm a coach right now, what contracts should I be putting in my coaching contract, or what things should I be putting in my coaching contract that can protect me for situations like this?
So the meta principle over this, and it's a meta principle for dealing with team, it's a meta principle for dealing in intimate relationships and casual relationships, is expectation never works as well as agreement. So have agreement around things. I always am talking to my executive coaching clients who have teams. Lead by agreement and not by expectation. When we enter into the world with expectation, we are usually sorely disappointed, because most of us who are on these calls, we have a very high expectation of ourselves. We have very high standards for ourselves. So getting agreement is really important. And so that would be the very first thing about, what are the agreements? What is the agreement of the coach? What is the coach going to provide? What is the agreement around accountability for the client? What is the agreement around the working relationship? I have a concierge model with the people I work with, which means they have unlimited access to me. But that unlimited access to me doesn't necessarily mean they get to call me at 2 a.m, although I've had that happen sometimes when the card has gone off the rails. But that's my business model, and that's my agreement with my clients. So having very clear agreements around the give and take, the scheduling, that's really important. Beyond that, it's really important to have, as I said before, a dispute resolution provision. When people disagree and there's no way to resolve an agreement, there's no mechanism, there's no prospective way to do that, the only thing that people default to is litigation. And I was a trial lawyer for 30 years. I made a good living at it, but nobody really ends up winning other than the lawyers. I mean, I hate to come clean with that, but you know, both sides win when lawyers are involved. And there's never a catharsis that comes out of litigation. So litigation is like the worst possible thing. So you can envision in an agreement, whether it might be arbitration or mediation or some other type of alternative dispute resolution. So you want a provision like that in an agreement. You also want to know, okay, we have a disagreement. Where are we going to resolve this agreement? We're coming from all different places in the world. If you've got a business partner or a client in San Diego and you're based like I am in Ireland, well, where's the dispute going to be resolved? You know, where are we going to have the arbitration? So for envisioning that part of it as well. So all of those things are really, really important pieces of a contract. And having said that, even though I have drafted contracts and agreements that are, tens and hundreds of pages long, a really simple, good, clean agreement will be just fine.
And I wanted to follow up with that. There's somebody in the chat box, Bob, who, how simple could it be? Because he's not quite sold on the idea of the contract. He says, I don't quite follow the need for a contract. I have clients who pay 4 figures a month and I don't have a contract. If I fail to deliver value to them, game over. So what would you say to Bob?
Well, I would say to Bob that life has been good to him. And if he wants to continue to operate that way, that's just fine. Nobody is saying he has to have contracts. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is based upon 30 years of being an attorney as well as a business coach. When I work with business clients, one of my points of difference is I can say to them as a business coach, I'm like a soothsayer. I'm like a fortune teller because I have litigated over 30 years everything that could ever go wrong in a business, everything. And I can see it like a fortune teller when it's going to go bad. And Bob, please God, nothing goes off the rails for you. And I have had to work with coaches who have served their heart out and not done good business by keeping their people on track and ending up with big receivables and ending up empty-handed because they didn't have a dispute resolution provision. There was no mechanism for enforcement. So I wish you well, and I would encourage you to have an agreement.
And I want to throw a little curveball at you, Walt. Are you ready? Yeah. So I'm noticing, I can say this because you're my friend, I'm noticing there's no hair on your head. And so
I had hair once.
So you've been around for a little while on this earth. And I'm wondering if you're doing anything differently. That everybody's thinking about future-proofing their business. And I'm wondering if you're doing anything differently in this moment looking forward, or if past lessons that you have, that you're now implementing today.
So much of what I'm sharing with you today is learned from past lessons, some very hard learned. And yes, I am, I've been around the block a few times and through some serious crises, personally and professionally. I was a single dad for a dozen years while I managed my law firm through multiple recessions. That's when I had hair. Before that, I had hair. Right now, I think the most important thing is, as I've said, to lean into the moment, to lead, to be there for your people. Even though, there are days where my wife, Ann, who my business partner, amazing Ann 𝗟𝗓𝗓, we were out to the grocery store for our once every 10 days shopping, and we came back on Friday and we both wanted to weep. We just wanted to cry because we could go out and see so much stress and so much strain and so much sadness out there. And so, I think professionally, what we're doing is leaning in and serving at a very deep level. We're connecting and we're and we're holding space with our people in a very deep way, knowing that that's what they need. And at the same time, we're really working to watch our own personal boundaries and our personal energy, and doubling down on our self-care practices right now. You know, the legendary Mahatma Gandhi said, every day I meditate for an hour, except when I'm really, really busy, and then I meditate for 2. And the teaching point of that is that in these times, we need to double down on the very things that sustain us, that take us through these difficult times. And that means leaning, you know, if you have a coaching community like we're fortunate to do, to lean into that community. If you don't have a community, find one. So if you have a coach, don't hoard toilet paper, hoard time with your coach, lean on your coach. If you don't have a coach, now is a really good time to get one, because we need wise guides. So that's what I'm doing, leaning in with respect to clients and service, but also being very mindful of protecting the main business asset, which is Ann and me.
Mm-hmm. Wow, wow, wow. Very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing this very, very powerful words of wisdom from Walt here. And you have fans. You have Paul, who says, Paul the furniture maker. Walt, I'm here. And I think he's your fan. Anyways, we have one common question which we've been asking everyone. What is one post-it note on every entrepreneur's right now you would share? Like, to help them through this time, if you could post one post-it note, what would it say?
Take care of you.
Take care of you.
Super simple. You're the asset. You just said it earlier. You're the asset, right?
You cannot possibly do the important work that you are meant to do in the world if your asset is not protected, if you are not strong, if you're not taking care of yourself. It's paradoxical. I know as a single parent, it seemed antithetical. It's so important right now to take care of you so that you can do this work that you're meant to do in the world and see your people through this time.
Awesome. And I wanted to follow that up because, well, you're one of the people that in my world is always seeing the bright side of things. You're always seeing the hope and the future. And I would love to know, what are you hopeful for on the other side of this? What do you hope will happen as a result of the current situation in the world?
Oh, I love that. So first of all, the question that we're holding between ourselves, Ann and me, with our team, with our clients, is what is the opportunity here, like here in this moment? And what is the opportunity on the other side of the curve? What is the opportunity we can't see yet? And out of 9/11, out of the ashes of 9/11, those people who stayed out of scarcity, who stayed out of fear, they built empires. We can build empires. If we can stay out of scarcity, if we can stay out of fear, we can create an amazing future. And my hope is that future is much more connected. You know, today in my video blog, I shared 2 questions that I've been journaling around. What is the message of this moment? And what is the gift of the moment? For me, the message is slow down, create more space, steep in wisdom more, take care of myself more. And the gift is connectivity, being able to connect with people that I love, to be able to connect with my kids and my grandkids and my loved ones, and to connect more deeply with my clients. And I am hopeful that we will all walk away knowing that all of us are connected, that we're not separated by nations or states or walls or boundaries, but that we're also deeply connected, that there's no separation, that we are all one, and that we will come out of this realizing how fragile and brief this all is, how tentative it is, and how we have to seize every single moment of our lives and live it full out.
Wow. Wow. He is making me tear up too. Aunt Deb here says, you're making me tear up. Yes, we're all connected. Let's keep it that way. Yes. Talking about connection, how can people stay connected to your world?
I made up a website name. It's very complicated. It's walthampton.com. Made it up myself.
And there's no other Walt like Walt Hampton, so there could be no.
And my profile picture kind of looks like this.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing. I'm so grateful that you joined us. I feel like you're one of those people in my world that on so many levels, everything you do comes from the heart. And it comes also with this wisdom of experience, and you're just ready to serve in a moment's notice, whatever is needed, and you just step up. And I'm so grateful to know you, and I'm so grateful that this audience got a chance to witness that today too.
Thank you for the great privilege of being able to spend time with you both and with your people. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Walt.
Bye for now.
All right, bye.